tagged you in it, so it should come up in your thing.
Cool. Your thing?
Your thing. Damn it, I like those headphones too. I miss them. Like, I feel naked without my headphones, man. It's weird.
Yeah, it's once you go to like the full, like the full ear headphones, it's tough to switch. Because I even take these to work if I ever have to do any video editing.
Dude, I love
I
the
always use these.
I love the sound of them, man. Like, especially when I'm editing, I'll put on like a YouTube video or some music, and like now I can't do it. I'm like looking at myself in the webcam, and like I'm just like, man, my ears are stupid looking.
Makes you really self-conscious about your ears.
Yeah, I'm like looking at like, why are my ears so goofy looking? Are my ears really that big? What's up, Rampage?
All right.
Ooh, I got notifications. Yay! Are you talking
That
about my
shared-
ears, Rampage? Damn it! I could. Let me do this. I could do a whole head covering with my Superman. Oh, it's on upside down. I could do. I could have my sock hat on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I'll get like too hot because I have those two big ass lights in front of me. Damn it. Damn
it's all good. Just
damn you,
ignore the
Skull
ear
Candy
criticism.
and your flimsy products. They sound great, but they're flimsy. I paid like $50 for those too. They shouldn't break like that. And I didn't even stretch them out or anything. I just went to go put them on my head, and they're just like, "Pang," and they just broke in half.
So they didn't show like any signs of breaking. It just kind of happened.
Nope, it just snapped like nothing. Like I went to go put them on my head, and they just went tink. And I was like, "Oh my god!" I had to go digging around to find these.
I hate that.
Luckily, I happened to see these in a bathroom drawer the other day when I was looking for something, so I knew they were there. So I was like, "Hopefully, those are still in there."
You got to have a spare.
Yeah, I'll keep these
Always gotta
by
have
the
a spare.
computer just in case from now on.
Yeah. All right. I've got it shared to Facebook.
All right.
I will record on my end
All right.
just in case.
I've got all my tabs open that I need to have open.
Yep. I'm going to share this on Twitter real quick.
All right. Oh, Rampage said he had some Skull Candy headphones that did that. These are the.
I've never. I don't think I've ever. No, I've had one pair of Skull Candies that someone gave me.
These were them.
Yeah.
Riff. And they've been great, but man, just this is the first problem I ever had with them. It just snapped. So I'm gonna drop those in the mail tomorrow when I get off work. Hopefully, I'll have them back in a week or two. Because I can't do this ear thing. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't like it. I'm pretty much ready to go if you are.
Yep, I got all the tabs open, so I'm all set.
Alrighty. Feels weird having you here. It's been a while.
I know. I feel like Wally did a more than admirable job of filling in for me,
Yeah,
so
he
it's like I
did.
have to build myself back up.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Do you like this show and you want to help support us? Do you want us to stay ad-free? Do you want extra episodes every month? Of course you do. Well, then head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. Become a Patreon supporter of this very show. Greetings, programs, and we're back. Derek is back here on the Nerd Cave Retro Show. Oh my gosh, my name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
Woohoo! He's back, everybody.
Boost.
we go. Good to have
But
you
no,
back, man. It's been, I
yeah,
mean, Wally filled in good for you, and of course we had Bethany Fox on a few weeks ago, so I held the fort down while you were gone. So, but good to have you
yeah,
back, though.
yeah. No, and I wanted to say thank you to Wally for filling in the last couple of weeks, and I don't really want to go into too much detail, but we'll just say that a couple of weeks ago, my personal life took a turn for the worse, so I had to kind of step away from everything to get things back in order. Um, so, and if anyone asks, the last few episodes of my show that have been out, I had recorded before the end of the year and had already like set them to record, to upload and everything. So, like, I still had episodes of my show in the can, but I haven't been doing any podcasting at all for the last couple of weeks. It's been, getting things back in order. And I'll say it's been a very eye-opening
Mm.
and enlightening past couple of weeks. So
It happens, man, dude. When life hits you, sometimes life can hit you pretty damn hard, man, and you just kind of got to take time for yourself. You did the same for me back in 2018 when my life came crashing down around me, and I of course will do the same for you. Hold down the fort while you pull the pieces back together, and we're always here for you, and we're all. That's what I love about this community. We're all here for each other. I have put a permanent. While I'm thinking about it, I put a permanent um, Discord link on the Twitter at the very top of our Twitter page. If you go to the website and click that, it will take you directly to join our Discord community. And I highly, highly recommend that because we hang out a lot in there, and we just started doing game nights. We did our first game night Monday night. We did a game of Among Us, and holy crap, it was so fun. Derek didn't get to join us because you think you were at work or something, and
yeah,
you couldn't be there. But man, the next one, it's going to be insane. So if you want to get in on that and be a part of our community game nights, I highly recommend doing that.
no, I definitely want to do that, and I hate that I missed the first one, but hey, there'll be more opportunities, so it's
Yeah.
all good.
Oh, of course. But yeah,
But
that I never played Among Us before, and we played Monday night, and holy crap, I had fun, man. That is a great game to play with friends.
yeah, for sure. I haven't dabbled into it all that much, but definitely want to do so in the future. So, but yeah, it's good to be back. I actually did 3 interviews for my show earlier today. I took the day off because I've been doing the show in batches,
Mm.
just because it's a lot easier to do that way, and I don't have to worry about you know scrambling to find guests or come up with something last minute to do new content. So did some really good interviews today, and happy to be back here doing this show.
Yeah, the Empire Strikes Back roundtable dropped what last week, and that
It
was
it was at the end of the year.
yeah, that was a fun episode to do. So if you haven't listened to that one, go check out the Derek Diamond Experience podcast and listen to me and Derek and Wally wax poetic about our favorite movie, The Empire Strikes Back.
The goat.
The GOAT, the greatest,
Yep.
absolute greatest of all time. When you say the GOAT, there's Drew Brees and there's Empire Strikes Back.
I like that.
Yeah,
No, that's good. Now there's still some good episodes out too. I did a Mandalorian roundtable with our mutual friend Steve Wise
that's a good one
and
too.
local actor Thomas Carter Rochester, who's also a podcaster. I last week put out an interview that I did with an actress named Christina Wren,
Mm.
who played a role in Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman. So she talks about that among other things throughout her career. So there's some good content out and some stuff coming down the pipeline too.
Oh yeah, and you definitely want to be there for Derek's 300th episode too. I curated a cool guest for Derek for that
I I cashed in the favor.
episode.
We'll say that.
It was waiting
But
for
no,
you. You just had to cash it
yeah,
in. So
yeah. So now that'll be coming out early March. So there's some other things that I'll be doing with the show too, but I'll chat with you about that off air to
Oh yeah.
get your thoughts on.
So how have you been the last week or so? You been playing anything other than Wind Waker?
Not too much. I've still been dabbling a little bit in playing Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled,
Yeah.
unlocking new content for that. I was able to beat it and kind of going back and doing like another run through of that. Played a little bit of Sonic Mania. Nothing too like out of the ordinary. But I'm starting to, as things have gotten better with life and everything,
Yeah.
it's been I've been able to kind of transition back into playing video games.
That's good. I actually have been slowly getting everything I need to um, be able to stream from my Switch. I just got this little HDMI switch the other day. I got a brand new TV for up here by my computer, and got me a brand new 8-bit DOE or 8-bit do, however you pronounce it. New controller for my Switch. It's really cool. It's like a Super Nintendo controller, but it's got the analog sticks on it too. I played a little bit of Castlevania on the Switch last night with it, and that's another thing. I got the Konami's been having a big sale on the Switch. You can go pick up the Contra series, the Castlevania package, and the arcade package. I got the arcade package from Capcom too the other day that has Final Fight and stuff on it. Those are all on sale right now. So if you're interested in getting those, go get those ASAP from the Switch store. And especially that Castlevania one. The Castlevania one's great. It's got a ton of Castlevania stuff on there if you haven't played it.
Yeah, I definitely need to pick that up.
But yeah, I'll be streaming my Switch soon, so I'm getting everything I need and the games I want to play. And I'm going to start doing that soon. And I would
That's
love
exciting.
the next time we do the community game night, I plan on streaming it right here on my channel.
Fantastic.
But I don't know about you. We got a lot of news to get to tonight. Are you ready to go into the
Some good
news?
some good stuff. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. This came to us from both I Am the Rampage and AxeBlade07 on our email. From PCGamesN.com. PlayStation emulator Bleem will soon be a Steam competitor selling retro games. If you're a modern PC gamer looking for a PlayStation emulator, you might be looking for something like Madnafin or EPSXE. But back in the day, we had Bleem, a piece of commercial software released in the late 90s that directly competed against Sony's own hardware. Well, Bleem will soon be back as the name of a new PC storefront aimed at selling illegal, emulated versions of obscure old games. Let's see, Pico Interactive has picked up the rights to obscure this bit of video game history for its new store and custom emulation wrapper. It's already been producing plenty of stuff for the retro gaming community, including a selection of reproduction carts for various consoles. They've done games such as Super 3D, Noah's Ark, and 40 Winks on Steam. Let's see. It aims to license out its Bleem wrapper for developers who want to publish their classic games on Steam or Good Old Games. The company also aims to work with homebrew devs to help monetize their games. What do you think about this sort of a Steam for retro games?
I dig it other than the fact that they used a screen cap from Glover
Yeah.
as the headline. I don't know if you've played Glover, but it is
No, but
a
I
pretty
remember that. That's ugly. They could have used something so much better than that.
right. I mean, you could have used almost anything other than Glover. I
Hmm.
don't know why you would do that. That's a next time I want to review just a really bad game, I
Yeah.
might review Glover.
It says right
Uh,
now it's under construction. Um, Currently, it's just a throwback to '90s under construction pages. If you remember those from the internet back in the '90s, the under construction pages. But it'll be a web store that sells NES, SNES, Genesis, Game Boy, TurboGrafx 16, and PlayStation 1 titles.
well, and I feel like we've kind of dabbled in something like this, in discussions on the show about there being some type of a platform where
Yep.
you could play retro games.
Yes.
And this sounds like it might fill that need.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a little bit more about it before I really form an opinion on it, but
Mhm.
I like the idea of it. I think it sounds really cool.
Well, there needs to be something like this because you have all those old NES, Super Nintendo games that you just can't get and play anymore unless you have a Super Nintendo or a Nintendo and you go buy these games, find them at a flea market or go to a retro gaming store, get them off eBay. It's not easy to play some of these games, but if you have a Steam type store like this where you can be able to emulate these games online for legally and get yourself a nice controller like that 8-bit dough controller I just got, you can go back to playing these old games, and that's what retro gaming deserves. This it needs something like this.
Yeah, I mean, we've been clamoring for it almost since day one of us doing the show. I know several other people who would love to have access to something like this too.
Yeah,
So, and I agree with what Rampage says. I hope they get some good licenses. That's going to be very important, I
yeah.
think, when it comes to this.
Especially, it's probably going to be hard to get Nintendo on board because they're
Yeah.
notoriously protective of their stuff. But they have to understand at some point, if you're not going to put this stuff on the Switch store, you're not going to put it on Switch Online under the NES category or Super Nintendo category. Let us be able to get it another way. Put the ROM online through the site and make money that way.
Yep. I 100% agree with that. But we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Our next story comes to us from NintendoLife.com. Early build of Zelda 64 discovered inside F-Zero X development cartridge. This is actually really cool.
Mm-hmm.
If you're fascinated with pre-release builds of classic games like Zelda Ocarina of Time, then it might be worth reading on. An early beta build of Link's iconic action-adventure title from the N64 generation has been discovered. It's believed to possibly predate Space World 97 and was actually found on a development cartridge containing F-Zero X. That means there is a lot of content, graphics and maps to be precise, that didn't make the cut in Zelda 64's final release. The source, Forest of Illusion, has made the map files from this build publicly available and hope they'll be able to be converted to a playable format. It also clarifies that this is obviously not part of the Nintendo Giga Leak dating back to last year. So there are several Twitter posts on this article that show you like unfinished maps. They show you character designs, um, kind of like 3D renderings of some of the maps. So there
Yeah.
is actually some really cool content that you can see here. And I love seeing stuff like this because, much like the fascination of how movies are made, the way games are made has always fascinated me. So
Yeah.
seeing like the beta versions of what would eventually become, my all-time favorite video game is really cool. So I would recommend anybody who's listening go to nintendolife.com and look at the article because it's got some really good
Mm-hmm.
content.
And also go follow at Forest Illusion, FORESTILLUSION on Twitter to see some of those map graphics and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really cool, and you can see the very early designs. Like there's one here that shows the rendering of Link's house, the
Yeah.
interior of it. So like seeing that is really cool, and just seeing like Link walk down what looks like a dirt road with other houses around it that you can tell aren't completed is really cool.
It's so weird where they find this stuff at now. They find
Yeah,
this in a data dump on an F-Zero X development cartridge. Like, why was it on there? And like, I just don't. It's like the weird stuff they've been finding lately on just random places. It's just weird to me.
now if Nintendo were smart, what they would do is, this year is the 35-year anniversary of Zelda.
Hmm.
You could put stuff like this on a re-released or remastered Ocarina of Time. Be like, hey, look at the early stages of this. I think it would be a really cool thing for Nintendo to do, but
Yep.
we all know how that goes.
Yeah. Let's see. This next story is pretty cool too. From NintendoLife.com, the SNES almost got a Zelda-style Back to the Future 2 RPG. The Back to the Future movie franchise is one of Hollywood's most famous product of the 80s, and it should come as no surprise to find that it had its fair share of licensed video games, and most of them sucked. Um, let's see. Season Nintendo fans recall the second movie was turned into a cute and cuddly side-scrolling platform adventure for the Super Famicom, released in '93 under the title Super Back to the Future Part 2. And if you've never seen, I've seen some YouTube videos of this game, and it actually looked very cool. And I can't believe this never came to America for the Super Nintendo. However, it would seem that Nintendo's 16-bit system was supposed to get a very different game. While leafing through copies of Famitsu magazine from the time, video game preservation outlet Gaming Alexandria stumbled across the following preview, which shows a more Zelda-style RPG approach was in place before the game switched to a 2D hoverboard-focused platformer. Given that Super Back to the Future Part 2 didn't get localized, it's hard to see why the developers would have gone the extra mile to bring an RPG-style game to the West. But still, it's interesting to note that we almost got an RPG starring Marty, Doc Brown, Biff, and company. That sounds like something I want to play right now. A Zelda-style Back to the Future game for the Super Nintendo. That scratches all my itches.
Sounds heavy.
Is there something wrong with the Earth's gravity in the future?
Is there something wrong with the Earth's gravitational pull? No, this sounds like, I agree with you 100%. I would play the hell out of this game if it were a thing. You give me Zelda style and you give me one of my favorite movies of all time, all combined together. Yes, sign me up.
Take my money.
Yeah, I can't believe this didn't see the light of day.
I know. I can't even believe that even as the 2D platformer never came to America. If you've ever seen the videos of this on YouTube, there's actually a video here.
A little bit, yeah.
In the article, it looks great and it looks fun. Like, why did this not come to America? Rampage, I never played the Telltale Back to the Future game. I wanted to. I just kind of never got around to it.
Same. It looked cool.
Yeah, it looked great. It was one of those things just kind of slowly passed me by and then just never thought about it.
Yeah. I have to add that to the long list of games that I need to play. Well, I feel like we haven't discussed this topic in a while, so I'm glad you threw this article in here. This is from CBR.com. Sonic the Hedgehog races to Hulu next month. Sonic the Hedgehog will arrive on the streamer on February 18th, just a year past its initial release date in theaters.
It's been a year already. Holy crap.
I know, right? My girlfriend and I were talking earlier. It's crazy to think this month's already almost over.
I know.
It just seems like yesterday was New Year's. But it will arrive on the streamer on February 18th, including Star Trek The Motion Picture, Wrath of Khan, Star Trek 3, Search for Spock, Star Trek 5, The Final Frontier. Why they would put that one on there, I have no idea.
Mostly all the bad Star Trek movies are going on here. Well, they did have Star Trek 2 and 6 are good.
Yeah, and then they have Insurrection, X-Men Origins Wolverine, and everyone's favorite movie, The Shape of Water.
I like The Shape of Water, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of Creature from the Black Lagoon, and it's basically like a sequel to that, like a spiritual sequel, so I'm all about it.
All right, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't look at it in that way, but no, I get that. I totally get that. So essentially, this is the first time I think that Sonic's going to be available to stream for free anywhere. If you have like a subscription to Hulu, then you're able to actually watch it, because it hasn't been available, really anywhere else as far as to stream. You can buy it or rent it, but I think it's the natural next step. And I mean, it also talks about the sequel, which I won't get into too much because I know we'll have plenty of time to discuss the sequel, but it is saying that Jeff Fowler, who is the director, will be returning. Pat Casey and Josh Miller will be returning to write the script. And it says here, aside from Tails, Knuckles the Echidna is also expected to make an appearance in a supporting role. And Paramount Pictures is looking to cast a voice actor who is serious in nature but still gullible at times.
I'm right here, Paramount. I'm available. Just email me. right here, nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. Ask for my voiceover reel. I'll send it. And I'm very gullible, and I'm sometimes serious in nature.
And after you hire Jason, hire me on as a consultant.
Yeah.
But the studio is also looking to cast a supporting character named Randall who will only interact with the human characters in the film and an A-list star for a quick cameo. Big names such as Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Rock have been thrown around, but nothing is finalized. I think, and I know he's busy as hell, but they set up a cameo for The Rock,
Yeah, they did.
the first movie. Either have him as the president or have him voice Knuckles.
Yeah.
I would love if he voiced Knuckles. That would be great.
Yeah.
Initially I was not in favor of him being in the sequel because I feel like they need to. I'm worried that they're going to try and put too much in the second movie. Because the first one was
Yeah.
a success, I'm worried that they're going to try and cram in other characters. So if you want to, I mean, obviously Tails is going to be in it.
Yeah.
If you want to put in Knuckles, I think that's fine.
I think
But as far as
Knuckles is one of those things that you save for part 3.
that was initially my thought, is you have him as the antagonist for most of the movie, but then by the end of it, he becomes good and sides with Sonic against Robotnik.
Yeah, because honestly, Jim Carrey, the Robotnik's still alive, and he's coming back with a vengeance. So he's kind of the natural enemy to come back for part 2. So, and I know Jim Carrey loved doing the role. You could tell he was having the time of his life in that movie. And I hope he comes back. I can't wait for part 2. I love this first movie. It's great.
I don't think they need to do a Sonic movie without Robotnik as
Yeah.
the villain, because at least in some way, because Jim Carrey, that movie would not have been the same if not for Jim Carrey's Robotnik portrayal.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you naturally set it up to where he's trapped in another world, but we all know he's going to get out.
Oh yeah.
And he's going to come back to Earth with a vengeance. So I wouldn't mind if Knuckles was in it, but I would prefer if they focus on developing the relationship between Sonic and Tails.
Yeah, that's
If they
what
want
they need
if they
to
want to
do.
go ahead and pull the trigger on Metal Sonic and you not have Knuckles, then I think you can do that.
Yeah.
But if you introduce Metal Sonic, I think you have to introduce Amy Rose too, because they were both introduced in the same game.
Yeah.
So there's a few different avenues that they can go. But I mean, I could theorize about this all night.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It'll probably be 2022 before it comes out. We got at least another year of speculation before anything.
Yeah, and there will be stuff that comes out like stills and trailers and whatnot that we'll be able to talk about
And
too.
what
So
happened to all the Sonic stuff Sega was said they were going to release last year?
I mean, this year was the year to do it because this year is the 30th anniversary of the character. So, but we haven't heard anything. Still haven't heard anything about a new game.
No, nothing. And we haven't heard anything Sonic related since the movie. And then Sega was like, "We've got all this Sonic stuff we're going to release over the next year." And then nothing. Nothing.
Yeah. It makes no sense.
Come on, Sega. And for our last story tonight, this is from RetroDodo.com. Metroid Prime 4 release date leaked by Amazon. It's been a long time since the Metroid Prime trailer dropped in 2017, but the Metroid Prime 4 release date has finally been leaked by global e-commerce giants Amazon. Where was it? Let's see.
The release date's towards the end of the article.
I remember it's down towards the bottom. The trilogy first started on the GameCube in 2002. We know that. Come on, where's it at? This is a long article, so I should have highlighted it.
All good.
Let's see. Okay, here. Metroid Prime 4 release date apparently is set for Monday the 2nd of January 2023. That seems like a pretty long time. When I read that, I was like, man, that's towards the end of the Switch's life. Like, I don't know, man.
I feel like it's going to come out sooner than that.
I think so too. They've been working. like I said, back in 2017, they came out with the trailer, and then what, late 2018 or so is when they scrapped it and
Yep.
started over again. So they've been working on it for at least a year and a half now, at least. So we've got to be close to something at this point.
Yeah, I think 2022 is probably the likely release date. If not in the summer, maybe the holidays, but we also don't know when the next Switch, if it's the Switch 2, we don't know when that's going to come out. So
Yeah.
who knows? I think 2023 is a little far off, but I think 2022 would be a little more accurate in my opinion. Like 2023 just sounds so far away.
I know it does. I mean, we're still in January of 2021. We're talking 2 full years away from
Yeah.
this. And they
I
said
think it's got to be sooner.
the new features of Metroid Prime, it'll have a multiplayer mode, much like the multiplayer madness experience in GoldenEye. Um, let's see, co-op mode. Um, DLC plays a huge part in the game releases these days, but I don't know. I'm sure that Nintendo will have DLC for it, but they're not really that big on DLC. Like they did it for Breath of the Wild, but that's about it. I mean, they do it for Smash Brothers.
Yeah, which I'm surprised they're still doing,
Yeah,
if I'm being completely honest.
I just want them
But
to
who knows
hurry
what'll
up.
happen.
Hurry up, Nintendo. I need my Metroid.
Yeah.
I was
Well, we will have plenty of Metroid discussion next week.
I was really hoping. Yeah, we will. I was really hoping that we were going to get at least a trailer early this year for Metroid and be like coming, October or November 2021. And I'd have been like, woohoo, let's do it. End of the year, Metroid, awesome. That'll be my Christmas purchase. But now it's like 2 years from now. Jeez. Come on. Come on, Nintendo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know why they seem like they neglect Metroid so much.
I don't know.
I don't get it.
They neglect F-Zero and Star Tropics, all these great
Yeah.
franchises that they need to bring back. Come on, Nintendo. We have money if you want it. But let's go ahead and move into this month in video game history, shall we?
Yes.
On January 5th of 1988, shareware game The Adventures of Captain Comic is one of the first NES-style side-scrolling platform games for the MS-DOS, setting the stage for a subsequent shareware boom. Was this made by who?
Color Dreams.
Color Dreams. Oh, I thought this was by. This might be the guys that went on to do Doom. I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, let me.
It's
look up
it's got the name Michael Denio, Denio.
I don't know.
But I know we've talked about this game before because I recognize the list of items that's screen capped here on the Wikipedia link.
Because John McCormick was the developer. Well, he created. He worked for. Was it no? Yeah, it was John Carmack, and he did all of the programming for like Doom and stuff. And I thought he was the first one to develop side-scrolling capability on PC. But I don't know. I'm gonna have to go and look at this.
Captain Comet causing all kinds of ruckus here on the Nerd Cave
Yeah,
Retro
I know.
Show.
Well, the thing is, like John Carmack is actually the one who, because what they did was they went in and John Carmack created the be able to side scroll on PC, and they basically recreated the first level of Super Mario Brothers to show that they could do it on the PC. and that's when they got picked up and started making video games because that's pretty much all he did was program, like push programming for video games. Like that's how they created Doom and pretty much everything forward from that.
Right.
So I don't know. This is confusing to me because they make it sound like Captain Comic was the first one to do side scrolling, but I don't know. This is strange. This is a Mandela effect.
On January 8th of 1988, Konami releases Super Contra.
Freaking hard game, man.
Yep, it is. And I know we've talked about this game before and the poster, but I love the poster so much. If you want something that just vomits the 1980s, check
Yes.
out the Super Contra poster.
Yeah, Super C was great on the Nintendo. It was one of those games like, along with the original Contras, one of those games you just get with one of your buddies and just play, Friday and
Yeah.
Saturday night on the weekends. And man, trying to play Super C by yourself is a tough task.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see that.
January 31st of 1992, Quintet and Enix released Soul Blazer for the SNES.
This is a game that I've been wanting to play for a while. It was made by Quintet, who also, I think they created ActRaiser as well as Illusion of Gaia.
Yeah.
So they made like that. It's not a trilogy so much, but it's a set of 3 games for the Super Nintendo. This is a game that looks like it's right up my alley. I love that RPG element, that top-down view, kind of like Link to the Past,
Mm-hmm.
and so many other good RPGs for the Super Nintendo. So
I
I
think
hope to play this soon.
I think I played this back in the day. This looks really familiar. I think I may have
There were,
rented this one time.
but honestly, there were so many games like this for the Super Nintendo that
Yeah.
it's like they all kind of blend together. And it says here, game journalists often consider Soul Blazer to be an unofficial trilogy with the games Illusion of Gaia and uh, Terranigma, I believe is how you're saying it. So
Ah,
it might not have been ActRaiser. That
yeah.
I might have misspoke on that.
Rampage just wrote in the chat room that Commander Keen is the game I'm thinking of that John Carmack did. Yeah, Commander Keen was one of the first games that had to that was able to side scroll on the PC, and they got picked up to develop the game Commander Keen because he developed the ability to side scroll on PC. That's what I was trying
Yeah,
to remember was Commander Keen. Weird.
Commander Keen. It's a great name.
Yeah, they made a bunch of those Commander Keen games back in the day. But
Let's see. In January of 1994, Mega Man X is released in the United States. Freaking hard game.
yeah,
You
I'm
mentioned
not.
Super C earlier.
I'm
Mega
not.
Man X is a really hard game.
I'm not a huge fan of. I love the Mega Man games, but I'm not a huge fan of the Mega Man X games. Too much dialogue, too much stopping in the middle of the action. Like I love the old school Nintendo Mega Man games where it's just run and gun, man, run and gun.
Yeah, Mega Man X was a little dialogue heavy. I mean, the gameplay was still good. It plays like a Mega Man game, but yeah, it's a little more story focused, I feel like, than the older games.
Yeah,
But
but
I still enjoyed it.
Rampage said Mega Man X is his favorite one, which that's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I prefer just the little bit of dialogue before you go into the, you know, whatever bad guy, whichever section you're going to do first or next, whatever. You get a little bit of dialogue, then you just go in and do the whole level as fast as you can. Like that's the Mega Man experience to me.
Yeah, for sure.
January 21st of 1999, Super Smash Brothers is released for the Nintendo 64 in Japan. And like you said, every time I see this, I think of that commercial. That very
I can't
first Smash Brothers commercial.
with them dancing in the field
Yeah,
and they just
and
start beating
start
the crap out of each
beating the
other.
hell out of each other. That commercial is still, to this day, one of the greatest video game commercials ever made.
Did you ever see the Link to the Past commercials that were made in Japan?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't remember.
Whenever we're whenever we're done with this episode, you should go on YouTube. It's got Link and Zelda and a lot of the other characters from the game all doing a musical dance number. It's so bad. I love
Wow.
it.
I
It's
love
awful, but I love it.
I love going back and watching all the old video game commercials from the 80s and 90s. They have whole on YouTube. You can go look at whole collections of them on
Yeah.
there.
But I agree with you. Super Smash Brothers, that commercial is up there with, with the best. And I can't believe that this game is over 20 years old.
I know.
It
22
makes me feel so
now.
old. Yeah, 22 years old. It can be in college right now.
Yeah. Could be graduating college now.
Yeah, and Super Smash Brothers, like especially the original, and is a game that will always hold a special place to me because us growing up Nintendo fans, we were like, okay, what if Mario and Link ever interacted with each other? What if
Yeah.
Link and Samus ever interacted? And you got that with Smash Brothers, and it's still going on to this day. And you look at the massive success that Smash Brothers Ultimate has been.
Yeah.
It all started with a simple N64 game with 12 fighters.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. But to close us out for this month in video game history, I mainly threw this in there because we can use these now because they're 20 years old. On January 4th of 2001, officially over 20 years ago, Jagex, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, releases RuneScape for Microsoft Windows.
Wow.
I don't know if you ever played RuneScape.
No, but my girlfriend plays it. It's still
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's still available to play online, and she plays it. I've never played it. You know what's
20
sad?
years old, man.
It just hit me. When we started this show, we had a 20-year limit of what could be considered retro. So at the time, anything 1996 and before. Here we are,
Yeah.
209 episodes later, and 2001 is officially retro.
The crazy thing is, in November, the GameCube will turn 20 years old.
Oh my god, don't tell me that.
When I was looking up different, things to put in here, I was like, God, I'm gonna have to put that in November. It's I remember getting that for Christmas. Like it was yesterday.
Yeah. I remember getting the original NES for my 10th birthday, 11th birthday
Hmm.
in 1988, and I still remember it to this day. I still remember that feeling, and that was 30 33 years ago now. I don't like it, man.
Yes. Yeah, I mean now with the Super Nintendo is gonna be in August is gonna be 30 years old. Because I remember getting that because it came out, I think, like 2 weeks after my birthday, so I got it as like a late birthday gift.
Yeah.
30 freaking years ago.
I got it in Christmas in 1991, so Christmas this year will be 30 years since I got the Super Nintendo.
You know what? I'm done. I'm just gonna fade out.
Before we go into the review tonight, Derek has some shout outs.
Yes, as always, we like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro, the ones who keep us afloat here on the podcast, that keep the lights on for us. We want to shout out Armez Jackson, Xblade07, Daniel Salmon, John Jekyll, aka Mixmaster, Carlos Longoria, Staff Sergeant Sketch, Randy Bailey, Tyler Watson, Justin Olson, and of course, Mr. Brandon Rutledge. And because you guys have kept us at the $50 level, we will continue to do fun commentary tracks, which I believe our next one we're going to do is another twofer. We're going to do an episode of Super Mario Brothers Super Show and Sonic the Hedgehog. So those should be a lot of fun. And also wanted to give a thanks to those who voted in the Patreon poll for our first roundtable discussion for this month, which will be Metroid. So we will be doing a Metroid roundtable discussion next week. Uh, roundtable poll for February is already up. So if you haven't got your vote in, be sure to do that because the poll closes at the end of the month. If you want to be a part of our awesome Patreon community, just head on over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro.
Rampage said we need to start including PlayStation 2 titles on here now.
No.
No, not yet. It's not time. And tonight, Derek is talking about. I love the music for Wind Waker. It's so Irishy and jaunty and sea shanty-y.
It's a little different than your typical Zelda music, but
yeah.
in a good way, I think. So I had to come back with to me, a game that I knew a lot about, and a game that I feel like is a little overdue to be talked about, and that would be The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, which is an action adventure game developed and published by Nintendo for the GameCube home video game console. The 10th installment in the Zelda series. Crazy to think that.
I know.
It was released in Japan December of 2002, in North America in March of 2003, and in Europe in May of 2003. So I wanted to start off with a funny story. So, when the GameCube was launched in 2001, at E3 they showed, I believe it was E3 or it might have been somewhere similar, but they showed this demo of Link and Ganondorf fighting each other. And the graphics were realistic for the time.
Mhm.
And all the Zelda fanboys, including myself, were like, "Oh my god, we're gonna get a high quality, realistic looking Zelda game. We're gonna get fight Ganon in a sword fight. It's gonna be awesome." And we didn't hear anything about it for a while. Then at E3, it might have been the following year or the year after, they unveiled the trailer for Wind Waker, which was a little different looks wise than what we had gotten years before for the GameCube demo. So I was, let's see, it came out in December of 2002. So 2002, I would have been a sophomore in high school. And the way that my high school was laid out, all the classes were in like separate small buildings. There were several small buildings located throughout the property. And I had to go across the entire school to get to my third period class. And I would always run into my friend Andrew, who was a huge Zelda fan. And we'd always run into each other and we would talk. And when I watched this trailer, I knew he was going to have something to say about it. He power walks up to me and he's like, "The new Zelda is going to suck." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Hey, did you watch it?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, Jeff Bridges, like, "Yeah." I was like, he's like, "But it looks terrible." I'm like, "I give it a shot." I'm not. I was a little disappointed that it wasn't going to be realistic, but I was like, you know what? I haven't really played a bad Zelda game besides Adventure of Link, but so I was like, I'll give them a shot. And the more info that came out about it and seeing the trailers and the fact that it was starting to innovate sword play a little bit as far as you being able to parry attacks and do, flips and everything. It really kind of started that next wave of how you fight in Zelda games. And yeah, the graphics are cutesy and cell shaded and everything. And I call this version of Link Kitty Cat Link because he has little cat eyes.
Yeah.
And that was even the thing too, is that it kind of revolutionized him interacting with his environment because you walk into a dungeon, if there was like a lever that you needed to pull or something along those lines, you could look at Link's eyes and he would kind of, look up at the ceiling or look at the wall. It really started a next wave of Zelda, and I think Wind Waker does not get enough credit for that.
Yeah, well, you were talking about how people didn't like the graphics of the game. See, this was the first game I had played since Link to the Past because I had a Super Nintendo, and I did have a Nintendo 64, but I didn't play any of the Zelda games, and I didn't get the Nintendo 64 till late in its life. Because I went from a Nintendo 64 in like 1999, and I had it for like a year before I got the original Xbox. So I went from Nintendo 64, never played any of the Zelda games, to Xbox, and then I got a GameCube around 2003 or so. I had gotten it used, and I bought Wind Waker was the first game I bought for it. So that was the first Zelda game I played in 10 years, since Link to the Past to Wind Waker. So going from that cartoon style to, the cell shaded, Legend of Zelda graphics that were in Wind Waker, like that was like, holy crap, this game looks good. Like I thought it looked great. I had no clue about the whole, it was supposed to be realistic looking and people didn't like the look of it. Like I fell in love with this game the minute I played it on the GameCube.
Well, another thing too, if you look at Zelda games that have been released since then, you look at Twilight Princess that looked darker and more realistic,
Yeah.
didn't do as well. But you throw in like Breath of the Wild, which to me is a great hybrid
Yeah.
between the two, where the characters, like look wise, they look human, but still has that cell shaded animated quality. And honestly, I don't want Zelda really to look hyper realistic.
No.
I like the animated feel to it because you can look at Wind Waker, its look is timeless.
Mhm.
You look at Twilight Princess, its look is not timeless because you can tell, okay, this was a game that was made, late GameCube, early Wii era.
Exactly. And I think Nintendo really has realized that over the years is the more real you try to make Legend of Zelda games look, they don't age as well as the stylized versions do. Like Link to the Past still holds up to this day. Wind Waker holds up. Breath of the Wild is going to hold up crazy long time. I don't want a Zelda game that looks like Elder Scrolls. Like if I want to play if I want something that looks like Elder Scrolls, I'm going to play Elder Scrolls. If I want to play Zelda because I want to be in that cool, half realistic, half cartoon world. And it like they do that so well, and it sucks you into that world, and that's what I've come to expect from Zelda games.
No, I 100% agree with that. But the I bought the game the first day it came out, and I was hooked instantly. The opening theme that has that kind of like, you know, flute type
Yeah.
sound to it, and it just sounds really peaceful and catchy. And you see as the camera pans over the ocean and over to Outset Island where Link lives, you knew it was going to be different because from the very beginning that it's going to be different because I believe we've talked about the Zelda timeline a little bit on this show, but to give a very quick synopsis of it, the timeline of Zelda splits into three directions after Ocarina of Time. There's the child timeline where Link is sent back in time to relive his childhood. That's when Majora's Mask takes place. Then there's the fallen hero timeline where Ganon actually kills Link, but then he's sealed in the sacred realm, which becomes the Dark World, by the Seven Sages. And then for the sequels you have are the original Zelda as well as Link to the Past. Then there's the adult timeline where it's the world that adult Link leaves behind when he's sent back in time to relive his childhood. So like Ganon's been defeated. Years later, Ganon returns, but we don't really know what happens because everyone calls for Link to come back, but obviously he doesn't. But we don't know what happened. And then the game starts where you're on this island and you meet the King of Red Lions, which is a talking red boat, and your job is to sail to these different islands. And it's actually a pretty big game.
Hmm.
It's not entirely open world, but it's it's pretty chunky as far as the areas that you can go. I believe there's 49 different sections of the map that you can go to. So you're going to get a lot of playthrough out of this game. But the twist of it, so you start off the game, you have to collect these three pearls in order to go to the Tower of the Gods to essentially do trials. After you complete that, you're taken underwater where you see Hyrule Castle submerged under the sea. And the first time I saw that,
Hmm.
my mouth dropped. I was like, "Oh my god, that's such a great twist." Because like it was so different
Yeah.
than, just playing through Hyrule and fighting Ganon and saving Princess Zelda. You're like, "Okay, this it still has that Zelda feel to it, but the location is the same but also very different." And obviously Ganondorf is still the antagonist of the game, which you find out later on, because these are descendants of Link and Zelda that are still fighting the original Ganondorf. So it was really cool to see the story progress and it go in different directions than what became known as the Zelda formula.
Yeah. And if you, there's a pretty good video. I think Cinemassacre did a good video of the Legend of Zelda timeline to try and explain what order all the games go in. And it's weird, like the original Legend of Zelda for the Nintendo actually ends up being like one of the very last games in the timeline.
Hmm. Yeah, there's debate on where Breath of the Wild falls as far as like in what timeline and where. I personally like the theory that it unites all of them, but that's a story for another time.
They might actually touch on that in Breath of the Wild too. Do you think?
Judging by what we saw in the trailer, I think so.
Yeah.
I really think they're because they've hinted at the past as far as previous incarnations, but I could see them really diving into the history of it with Breath of the Wild too.
Yeah.
But a little bit as far as more of the story goes. So Link lives on Outset Island, and he's come of age, where he's essentially the same age that Link was when he started his journey in Ocarina of Time. So as a part of a ceremony, he gets the green tunic, like Link wears in most games. And then his sister is captured by this giant bird called the Helmarock King. And from there, Link enlists the help of this gang of pirates to go find his sister. After that happens, Link meets the King of Red Lions. You start to find out more about, uh, his journey and everything, and then you eventually get the Master Sword. But the crazy thing is that the Master Sword is completely lost its power. So then you have to go to these different temples to restore the power before you can go back to Hyrule and fight Ganon. Another cool thing that I like about this game too is it has a little bit of replayability in the sense that you can go through it a second time and Link can wear the pajamas that he wears at the beginning. He wears like a blue long sleeve shirt that what looks like has a crawfish or a lobster on the front. So getting to have a different outfit is pretty cool. And plus, there are a couple of characters who speak the ancient Hylian language. So when you play through it the first time, you can't understand them, but it translates it the second time. So you learn a little bit more about the backstory when you do that. And plus, there are a lot of cool collectibles too. I mean, it's filling out your map, finding various treasure throughout the sea. It's got a lot of replayability, which I think most Zelda games do. I feel like,
Yeah. Yeah, and
but
one of the things that I was just sitting here thinking about, I was like, this is the 35th anniversary of Zelda this year, the Legend of Zelda, and I'm really wondering what Nintendo has in store. And they did the Mario 3 pack last year with Mario Sunshine and Galaxy. I really wonder if they're gonna do something Legend of Zelda. Like, are they gonna redo, like, have a 3 pack of Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, and oh crap, what was the other one?
Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time. I wonder if they'll have a 3 pack of those. Like, I would love to get like an updated version of those games and play through those.
Well, the cool thing is they did do a remaster of Wind Waker for the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
So they could, in theory, use that. in the 3-pack. But
Well,
I would even love to see some type of collection with the 2D games too, like
yeah.
Link to the Past,
Well, that's
the
what I was
original
thinking
Zelda.
because they are, taking a lot of stuff that came out on the Wii U and releasing it on the Switch. So I'd really like to
Yeah.
have the remaster of Wind Waker. I'd love to have a remaster everything. Like, give me all of it.
Oh, absolutely. Like you throw Zelda on the title and chances are I'm gonna get it. But I did want to correct myself. So the demo I mentioned of Link fighting Ganondorf that looked realistic was at the 2000 Space World Expo,
Oh, okay.
where Nintendo announced the GameCube for the first time. So it wasn't at E3. I didn't think it was, but I was trying to remember like what other expos did they have around that time. But no, it was the 2000 Space World. But this game to me is right up there with the all-time great Zelda games. I've praised Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Link to the Past. This would be in the upper tier of Zelda games just because the gameplay is great. It started like I said, the next wave of innovating Zelda gameplay with being able to block opponents' attacks, being
Yeah.
able to, parry and do flips and, hit your opponent on the top of the head with your sword. The music is great, and I feel like that's a staple for every Zelda game.
Yeah.
A lot of the boss fights, the music in this game is really good. I love and to tell you how catchy the song is that plays whenever you're sailing throughout the sea, pretty much anytime I'm, like, on a boat or on water, that song pops in my head, and that is no lie.
Oh yeah. And that's the,
That should tell you, like, how much that music has stayed with me throughout the years.
and that was the cool thing about this game is the music is so different than a lot of the other games. It's just like I said, it's got that very like it's hard to describe. It's like that kind of Irish, almost like sea
Yeah.
shanty, like
Mhm.
pirate and buccaneer sound to it. And it's not
But
your
it
typical sweeping, like the Legend of Zelda. It's kind of different.
Well, and it still has just enough of the Zelda feel, like, whenever you go
Yeah,
into a house, you hear the house theme from Ocarina of Time.
yeah,
It has all the classic, jingles, like whenever you open a treasure chest, when you find a treasure, things like that. So it does enough of introducing kind of a new feel, which makes sense because the location is different. It feels very seaside and ocean esque in a sense. But all in all, like this game was received extremely well. I mean, Metacritic gave it 96 out of 100. um, Eurogamer gave it 9 out of 10. Nintendo Power gave it 5 stars. IGN gave it 9.6 out of 10. It's tough for me to really say that this game is anything less than a 10.
yeah.
I still enjoy Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask more. So I would put it slightly beneath that. So I would give it a 9.5 just because I like those games a little bit more. But I absolutely love the Wind Waker. It's so much fun to play. The the graphics are fun. It reminds me of a combination of like a comic book mixed with anime, especially the remastered version they did where everything's a little bit brighter, the shadows are a little more prominent. The the cell shading really meshes well with Zelda. And I think this is going to be a game that I hope, 10 to 20 years from now, people look at it as, you know what, that was a really important addition to the Zelda franchise.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those Zelda games that a lot of people didn't like at first, but it has aged well. Not
Absolutely.
very unlike Zelda 2, which I still think is a dumpster fire to this day.
I heard your thoughts on it on the show last week.
It was actually, it says here, Nintendo Power named it the second best GameCube game of all time behind Resident Evil 4. I'll agree with that. I mean, Resident Evil 4 is a masterpiece too for the GameCube. I got these two games at the same time. because I was late in the life of the GameCube. Like I said, I didn't get it till around 2003 or so. I think it was 2003 when I got it, and it was cheap. It was it was cheaper at the time, and I really wanted to get it. And I got a bunch of games I think for it at first because the games were cheap, and I had gotten Resident Evil 4 and Wind Waker were two of the first games I got for it, and I just remember that popping in Wind Waker and not knowing what to expect, and it was so different than the last game I'd played, which was Link to the Past. But immediately was just like, I'm into this. This is really cool. Like this is the future of gaming. Like this whole 3D world and environment. It looks like a cartoon, and it's fun, and the gameplay is that gameplay mixed with that controller.
Hmm.
Ugh.
Still my favorite, probably my favorite game controller of all time.
Yeah.
It's the GameCube one. No, and yeah, Wind Waker does enough different, but it still feels like Zelda,
Yes. Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I can't recommend Wind Waker enough.
So I would recommend if you pick up a GameCube, it'll be Wind Waker's not cheap. It's one of the more expensive games for the GameCube, but I highly recommend getting Resident Evil 4 and Wind Waker. Those are two of the absolute best games you can get on the GameCube, along with the Rogue Squadron games that they
Hmm.
put out for it. They look great, they sound great, they play great. I'm so glad that Nintendo realizes that controller was the best controller they ever made, and they still release that controller for new systems
Hmm.
because that controller was perfection, man.
Oh, I could not agree more. Could not agree more.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. This is such a good game. And it's weird because, like, before you even said you were going to do this game, my girlfriend was actually watching a YouTube video of a playthrough of Wind Waker the other day. And I walked downstairs and I saw it on TV, and I was like, man, I want to play Wind Waker right now.
Yeah, it's so good. I really hope they release it for the Switch
Me
as
too.
part of like we mentioned, you know, 35th anniversary Zelda pack or something like that.
I'm still ready to see if they do a Legend of Zelda 35 like they did with Super Mario Brothers, a battle royale Zelda game. I'm
Oh
ready.
my god,
I'm ready.
that would be great.
But
That would be great.
as far as next week goes, I'm not going to do a review next week. We're actually doing our roundtable discussion next week that you guys voted for on the Patreon, and we're going to be talking about the Metroid franchise, which will be. I could talk for about Metroid for hours.
I can't wait. I'm glad Metroid won the poll because I've been itching to talk Metroid Prime for a while. So I will definitely be talking about that and some of the controversy that happened with that game because it switched to first person. But
Yeah, I,
we'll save that for next week.
that's another GameCube game you need to get if you have a GameCube. Is
Yep.
Metroid Prime? Holy crap, that game was good.
Oh hell yeah,
I
it was
remember a
great.
few years ago, I was around 2010, somewhere around there. My buddy Tony had gotten a GameCube from somewhere, and Metroid Prime was his favorite game of all time. And I remember we sat at his apartment one night and just played Metroid Prime, just passing the controller back and forth to one another. We played that damn game all night long. That was fun.
No, it's on the short list of GameCube games that you should get for sure.
Absolutely. But the week after next, I know I've done a lot of Resident Evil lately. I reviewed Resident Evil 1 for my last review, and but I did play Resident Evil 3 remake for the PS4, and I think I'm going to review that because I got to finish out the trilogy. I did both. I reviewed both versions of Resident Evil 2. I did Resident Evil 1, and now I'm going to review Resident Evil 3 for the PlayStation.
That's going to be fun. I'll be excited to hear that.
I have been so immersed in Resident Evil lately. I may just go ahead and get Resident Evil 4 for the Switch, even though they haven't, remastered it yet or remade it yet, like they plan on it. Oh man, I can't wait till they remake 1 and 4. 4 was so good. 4 is probably my favorite one after 2.
I haven't had a chance to play 4 yet,
Oh,
but I have it. I just haven't played it yet.
You have to play it and review it. I reviewed all the other ones. I want you to review 4 because I love 4.
Okay. I'm down for that.
I think that should be your next one.
No, I dig it.
All right.
And plus that'll give me a couple of weeks to do it.
Oh yeah, and it's not that long either. I mean, it's only like a 12-hour game maybe to finish it. So you should be able to do that in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I think so
for sure.
But that's gonna about do it for tonight's show. Anything you want to throw out there before we leave the season?
No, as I mentioned earlier, be sure to check out the Derek Diamond Experience podcast. New episodes drop every Thursday on all podcasting platforms, and you can follow me on all forms of social media at D Diamond Podcast. And countdown is on for episode 300, which will air the first week of March.
Yes. Go check out the Open Micers podcast, my other podcast that I do with comedian Jacob Craig. We do celebrity interviews and all that sort of stuff, and we've had some pretty good episodes the last few weeks. So go check that out at Open Micers on Twitter and Open Micers on Facebook. And I think that's going to do it for this week. Let me pull up our end of show notes here, and I will play our music. And if you would like to email us, you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. Send us whatever news articles you find if you want us to talk about it on the show. That's where you send them. We're also at nerdcaveretro.com. We're on Instagram and Twitter at nerdcaveretro, and individually at JayFunktastic and at Derek_Diamond. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdcaveretro. And of course, we're on Patreon at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. Go throw us a couple bucks a month. Keeps the lights on here at the show, and we stay above that $50 level, and we do those extra episodes every single month that everyone seems to love, and we love doing. And also, if you can't do that, I understand times are tough. Go leave us a review wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. So Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Yes.
Master Blaster runs Bartertown.
That was a fun episode.
Yeah.
Love
Shake the
talking
rust off a
solo.
little bit.
Let me.
Yeah.
This is 209.
It's 209. Thanks, Rampage, for the kind words.
Yeah, thanks, Rampage.
Yeah.
Way past your bedtime. Go to sleep, old man. Oh man, yeah. I can't wait to do the next. Actually, I need to talk to you because Bethany is gonna run our community game night forum on the Discord. So I wanted to get with you and figure out what night next month you want to do it, and if we should do it on the same night every month. Probably Monday night is probably gonna work the best for me. I don't know about you.
Possibly. Let me get back to you on that.
Yeah, just look and see what night would work best for you. I'm thinking probably like a Monday night or maybe a Sunday night, something like that. Some night where we don't have like a billion things going on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we'll get it figured out.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us on Twitch, Rampage. Go get some sleep. And thank you everyone else for hanging out with us tonight. And we will see you right here next Thursday night.